Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. It's Tiffany Logan Baker. We have been in, I guess, shelter in place. I hope you guys are making the best of the situation. As for me, it's okay. I mean, I'm still getting outside. It finally stopped raining here in Southern California, so I've been outside almost every single day, just exercising, walking with my dog, and just getting fresh air into my system. I was going a little stir crazy for a little bit, but we have to do what we have to do. So this is week 4 of my book study. Here's Daddy's Girl. We're on chapter 4, and chapter 4 is entitled The Crack in the Foundation. This is when I start to notice that the foundation in my family that I thought was so strong and so firm was beginning to crack. I was beginning to see holes in the foundation. I started to notice that my dad's behavior was changing. He was going out more than normal, staying out longer. My dad went on a business trip and came back and said that me and my brother could possibly have an older brother, which kind of took us all by surprise because, my parents were both married. The only sibling that I knew that I had was my brother. So my dad flies this kid across the country to meet us. And it was a very challenging time because I was just used to it being me and my brother. We weren't even sure if this kid was even my dad's. This kid didn't look like any of us, didn't look like any of my cousins, didn't look like my dad at all. So as I mentioned in my previous video, I was very, very territorial, didn't really like to share or wanted to share my dad, and now I have this new person in that I had to share my dad with, so it was very frustrating. And I remember my mom was just so very nice and generous during this time, and she just told us to be nice and to kind of make the best of the situation, and we did. And I think he stayed for about half of the summer and he went back to his hometown, but turns out that he was not related to us, and that was kind of like the beginning of our foundation starting to fall apart. So that whole ordeal, that whole experience just kind of wrecked me, wrecked my family. It would have been fine if just my immediate family kind of knew about the situation, but my dad's whole extended family knew, and I thought that it made it harder to kind of walk through, especially when everybody and their mom kind of knew what your family was going through. And then again, my dad was the only one married to his original wife. We were essentially the only kind of functioning family, and for that to happen was just a huge blow. But my mom took it with stride. She always looked just very well balanced, and me on the inside, I was just a mess. My brother, he isn't really kind of forthcoming with his feelings. He's just very kind of quiet and reserved, and I'm the complete opposite. So I'm not sure how he dealt with the situation. Even to this day, I never really asked him how he dealt with the situation, but I know for a fact that it was kind of like a huge blow to all of us. Our family was still together, but the dynamic of our family kind of shifted once he went back to his hometown. We kind of just buried it and moved on, not even really kind of like discussing it, discussing what happened, discussing how we were going to move forward, discussing how this even happened, how it even came about, and why my dad thought it would be a great idea for him to come down here. None of those things were discussed as a family unit. Maybe my parents had conversations about it, but as far as like me and my brother, it kind of felt like our family as we knew it was kind of like hit really hard, and then everyone just kind of moved on like it never even happened. Thinking back on it, that's kind of strange because I'm the type of person where I like to talk things through. I like to discuss what happened, why it happened, what we can do moving forward to ensure that this doesn't happen again. And to make a long story short, even in my teen years, me and my dad still did a lot of things together. And one of the things that we loved to do was go to the swap meet on the weekends, and we would go to the swap meet and go to breakfast. So that was kind of like our routine. But this particular day, we went to the swap meet, and my dad said, "Hey, I have to go meet somebody. It'll only take like a couple minutes." I was like, "Okay, fine." We drive to the next city over, and we pull into the shopping center, and literally, as I tell the story, I can still see everything so vividly. We drive in, we pull into this parking spot, and he tells me to stay in the car. I stay in the car, and he's gone for maybe about 10-15 minutes. He comes back, and he says, "Hey, I want you to meet someone." Me meeting one of my dad's friends or acquaintances was nothing out of the norm. It was something that happened on a regular basis, so I didn't really think anything of it. I go outside, we stand in front of like this barbershop. This woman comes out, and I've met my dad's female friends before, so it wasn't like, oh, okay, why is this woman here? But it wasn't until he said her name, and then I just kind of like stopped and looked at my dad, and then I looked at her, and I really didn't know what to say because I was more like in shock because I had heard this woman's name a couple of times before, but I didn't know what she looked like. And to this day, I still don't understand my dad's thought process. I don't really understand his reasoning behind him introducing me to his mistress. I think that's kind of bizarre. I just stood there in disbelief because what? Like, what is happening right now? Why am I here? Why are you introducing me to your mistress? And why would you think that that's okay? So at this point, I wasn't as outspoken as I am now. So I just kind of stood there in silence, and she kind of had like this snarky look on her face like, yeah, here I am. I'm the woman that's been breaking up the foundation in your family. I'm the one that your dad's been spending all this time with. How do you like me now? Type face, you know? And instantly, I wanted to get out of there. I wanted to get out of there so fast. And I just walked away, and I waited for my dad to come back, and I said not a word. I didn't say a word. I didn't even look at him. I was just trying to process what happened and why he would put me in that type of situation. And I never told my mom. I went home like everything was normal. I went straight to my room, and I closed my door, and I just sat on my bed trying to figure out where we go from here. Like, is this the end of my family? Is this the beginning of my new normal? What's happening? Why is this happening? And why is it happening to me? I don't think I cried. I think I just held everything in and just tried to process it. And I just cried on the inside. The strong family bond, the strong family foundation that I knew that I had was no more. This person that looked like my father, sound like him, dressed like him, walked like him, but I didn't know who he was. And I'm not sure if I even wanted to. And it sucked. Like, it sucked a lot. And I did tell one person about it, and they ended up telling this person that I was dating at the time. And that was the moment I decided that I wasn't going to tell anybody anything, because if I couldn't trust my father, who was supposed to protect me and love me and guide me. And if I couldn't trust my friend with very sensitive information, who could I trust? So I decided not to trust anybody. I decided not to express anything to anybody. I decided to keep my business, and process the best way that I could. And no one would ever see me vulnerable. And no one would ever see me cry. And no one would ever see me be, I guess, emotional. So from that day forward, I built up some pretty hefty walls, and I was very comfortable with those walls because I knew that I would never put myself in jeopardy. I knew that I would never let myself down. I knew that I would never hurt me, and I can only depend on me. And that's exactly what I did. I stepped, I processed the best way that I knew how, and I moved forward in the best way that I could. And I did good for a little bit, and then I started to leak, and I started to become angry and frustrated. I wasn't a loose cannon, but once I got to that point of just rage, it took a while for me to come back to a sense of peace and a sense of calm. So yeah, it was tough processing by myself because I couldn't let anybody in. But God is so gracious that He can turn anything around. And I'm grateful that I'm in a place where I can speak about these issues from a place of wholeness. And I'm not ashamed of what I've done or where I came from, because there's probably somebody walking through what I've been through already. And the Bible says that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the power of our testimony. And I made a vow to God that whatever He brings me through, whatever revelation that He shares with me, I will share with His children, because God is that powerful, and He's so loving, and He is so patient and gracious, and He doesn't want anybody to stay stuck in their mess. He doesn't want anyone to perish. So if I can just help one person, I've done my job. So I hope what I said encouraged you. I hope that you are using this time to really seek the Lord, and you are building altars in your home, you are praying, you are prophesying, you are declaring God's word over your home, over your family, over your city, over our country, over the people who are in the medical field, for the grocery store workers, for the firemen and the police and the paramedics, because they could really use our prayers right now. If you have prayer requests, questions, send them to me at info@tiffany.com, or you can just drop them below. Until next time, guys, I love you so much. Have an amazing week.